everybody, welcome along to the PEPASS podcast. This is the second episode and it's a special take on it. We've got the PEPASS young team in today. We've got Ryan, Anthony and Amber. Guys, 3 of them Modern Apprentices. You all good?
Aye, not bad.
Yes,
not bad.
good.
Aye, all good.
Good. Listen, thank you for coming on today. We're just going to have a wee chat about sort of the apprenticeship and how you guys have been getting on and stuff like that. So get straight into it. Going to talk about your school life. So back for you guys, it might not have been that long ago. What was school like for you? So what was your sort of your highlights about when you were in school, primary and secondary? Amber, go
For
ahead.
me, I was always, it's not really changed much, but I was always sporty. So any sport that was happening, I was right there. And even if it was all boys, I could, most of the time I was the only girl there. So, but it never put me off. So I was always involved in sport. I enjoyed all my classes, but again, I was more focused on going out and playing football at lunchtime or doing some after school football, whatever, playing the girls' football team.
Magic. And Ryan,
I'm the same as Amber. I was just kind of always sports and stuff as well, playing for the school team, I think from about first year to fourth year, so enjoyed doing that and just playing with my pals all the time. And I quite like drama, to be honest, as well. I think Isaac still came as my first year teacher, so that was a good laugh, to be honest. But so I like that and I like history as well.
Jane McCarry, was it Mrs. McCarry?
That's my teacher for first year.
I didn't realise that.
I can't remember her name, but Isaac still came. Aye.
Isaac, that's all you needed to know this. And Ryan, what about you? Were you sort of, do you enjoy school?
Well, in the moment, I wasn't the biggest fan of school, but I think everybody's like that. And then once you leave school, you miss it. But I liked like PE and all that. I liked the drama. I liked the woodwork, metalwork and all that. And then I'd done sports leader and I'd loved that. But it was maybe, I just like seeing my pals every day. But I miss school now that I've left it.
Aye, you do. Obviously, you've all sort of said PE was sort of one of the subjects that you looked at, and I know Ants and Ryan, you said sort of drama, but was there any other subjects that you kind of found that you enjoyed apart from PE, or were you just at school sort of to go and do sport?
I really enjoyed that.
Sorry.
No, sorry,
You go
Ryan, on you go.
I done hospitality, which was like cooking, which is no bad. But honestly, all the stuff you make, like you would go into hospitality and you'd make something. Every single thing had onions in it, but you could make a chocolate cake and it somehow have onions in it, so you would always come out stinking onions. But I liked cooking and all that, so that was no bad.
I mean, Amber, what about you?
For me, I was just kind of sports, to be honest. I was just kind of sports, to be honest, Stephen, but not apart from that, I can thank you.
Amber?
I really liked maths. I was a weirdo when it came to maths. I really enjoyed it, and for somebody who really liked it, I never actually got a great qualification on it. But no, I really liked maths. And primary as well, I always liked it. But I did do, like Ryan said, with the sports leader. Again, I always enjoyed sports leader and going to young ambassador conferences, all that kind of stuff. But maths was another subject that I liked.
That's a good one. So, Amber, you were a young ambassador, and you just tell us what school were you at again, just for everybody sort of listening.
St Paul's High School.
St Paul's. Ryan, you were
St Mungo's.
Mungo's, and Anthony.
St Andrews.
And just so sort of spread a bit across the city. And were you guys? Did you have young ambassadors at St Andrews and St Mungo's? I know Amber was saying she was a young ambassador, but do you guys get involved with the YAs?
I didn't at the time, no. I didn't know too much about it at the time, to be honest.
I think we did, but I can't remember. I think we just, at first, I think we just done like higher sports leader and Nat 5 sports leader.
Right.
And then I think they kind of added in the young ambassadors and that.
Good, cool. Amber, I'm going to come to you first for this one. So, any role models sort of growing up, being a female in sport in particular, Was there anybody that you looked up to, whether it was a sort of primary school, secondary school teacher, or maybe a coach that you had?
Well, again, I always got on with my teachers. So primary and secondary school, I always had a great relationship with every teacher I had. And in secondary, there was one teacher, my pastoral care teacher, who was also my maths teacher. She was a real, she kind of, got me past a lot of things, and that's what motivated me to keep going, even though it was nothing to do with sport. But again, because she did sport when she was younger, so even talking to her about sport and football and all that, that just kind of helped me and motivated me through school. And I suppose there was lots of sports people out there that I loved watching. I used to watch Andy Murray with my granddad doing tennis. I loved watching football. Any team I'd watch it. But I did always have that great relationship with teachers, and they were always the ones that would help and motivate me through anything really, when it came to being in school.
Is that why you like maths so much? Because that was your pastoral care?
It helped. It definitely helped.
Aye, definitely. Ryan, what about you?
See, when I was younger, my role model, I pure loved Juan Mata. I don't know why, but well, obviously when he was at Chelsea, I just loved him. But loved the way he played football and all that. And when you were younger and you played football, you would shout, "Oh, I'm this football player and I'm that football player." So I would always say I'm Juan Mata, even though I was nothing like him. But I don't know, I just liked the way he was, how he was a nice guy, good football player and all. So looked up to him. No, I didn't really look up to any teachers or anything. I just seen him as a teacher pretty much, but I loved Juan Mata.
Cool. And Anthony, what about you? Do you have any? I actually think I know who yours should be, but I'll wait and see if you say them or not first.
I'm going to say my dad and my granddad, to be honest. Because in primary, my dad used to take the school team. So he used to train a Tuesday and a Thursday, and playing a Saturday mornings, like a league type of thing. So every time I train, you know what I mean, my dad was on my back and stuff like that, but it was always like positive and stuff like that. So, and my granddad also played for Wolves. So I kind of played for Wolves in the morning, and my school team a wee bit later on. So I kind of had 2 games on the Saturday.
Yeah.
But even when I was younger, I used to go to my granddad's like creche and just play 5-a-side and things like that. So I'd say 82 in terms of football. And player-wise, I'd probably say Pirlo.
Right,
So I
okay.
try to, when I was younger, I was just trying to look at Pirlo, did Cam and and stuff. Just loved the way he played, to be honest. Like, we just never really seemed to survey it for skill and stuff like that. But I say Pirlo, I thought he was something.
So I just to clear that up, I knew Anthony was going to see his granddad because his granddad was my first football coach as well. So when he started the apprenticeship, we actually figured that out, that Anthony's granddad was my first football coach as well. So that's why I was like, if he doesn't see his granddad, I was going to be disappointed. What about sort of in school, Anthony? I know, Anthony, I know that you were saying you were in school till 4th year, but did you have any sort of role models, PE teachers or anything like that you looked up to in particular?
Well, my history teacher, Mr. Scrolling, he actually used to take the football team and stuff, and he used to, at lunchtime, he'd always come round, talk to him about football, just making sure like I'm going in the right path and things, just saying how my weekend went, how my training and that was going like that as well. So he was always like kind of checking up me and stuff like that, just making sure I was all right. So I'd say him. In terms of PE, I had Miss Buchanan was my PE teacher as well, and she would always ask me how I was getting on. Just even in terms of when I was doing football and stuff, she'd let me like if she's like, if you ever want to come up and like maybe help me like an after school club, like doing about a football coach and stuff like that as well. She'd let me do that. So in terms of PE teacher, I'd say Miss Buchanan.
Brilliant. Good. And that's just tied in nicely to where we're going next. So in terms of, you mentioned after school clubs, how was your schools in terms of opportunities for sport? So I know you guys sort of were at school not too long ago, active schools, sort of after school clubs. How did that implement into your school day? Did you get a lot of opportunities? Amber, what about you? I'll come to you first again.
Well, there was always clubs, there was always things happening, football, basketball, badminton, there was always clubs available. Again, I'd probably been to all of them, but football was the one I'd went to all the time. But there was definitely always opportunities there. Like there was never, I don't even think there was a day of the week apart from a Wednesday, because that's when teachers had their meetings after school. I think every other day was covered for having an after school club. So I think our school was quite lucky when it came to that stuff. Again, this year I know that St Paul's has got new stuff running with rugby that I never had the opportunity of doing. But if anything, it's getting better now. But at the time when I was there, it still was, there was definitely clubs and everything running at the time.
Right. Ryan, were you sort of similar at St Mungo's? Was it the same sort of, a lot of opportunities for you guys?
Aye. There was a lot of after school clubs in lunchtime and all that. I didn't really go to them. In St Mungo's at lunch anyway, because St Mungo's is right in the middle of Gallagher, so there's so much food, like food options and that. So I never took an interest in lunchtime clubs. I was just getting myself a Subway or something. After school clubs I didn't really go, because it was mostly like basketball and netball and that, and I wasn't really good at that. But there was plenty of opportunities. I just didn't really take advantage of them as much as what I should have.
Do you regret it now a wee bit, not taking advantage of it, when you see sort of in your role that you're in just now, the opportunities?
Aye, definitely. Because I would have went home and done nothing anyway, and it's good to go and do as much sports, especially now. I'm like, when I was younger, I just used to be like, oh no, football. I love football, but see now, because obviously you're in schools doing different sports, you realise how fun actually other sports are.
Yeah, definitely. It's good that you've sort of been able to reflect on that. Anthony, what about you? In terms of St Andrews, was there a good sort of extracurricular programme running? Did you take advantage of it?
I think there was like an after school club for May sports, to be honest. I'm just kind of same as Ryan. I was just kind of doing football and stuff, but see, looking back to it now, I'd like maybe even doing athletics, quite enjoy running and stuff like that now. And I think there was like a kind of cross country after school, maybe once a week, kind of like a long run and stuff like that. So kind of wish I took part in things like that. And I think there was a lot of basketball as well that I should have maybe get involved in. So I quite like playing basketball as well.
I think when you were younger, just for the sounds, it sounds like football was the sort of the main priority, and everything else was sort of put to the back. But again, that's the thing about sort of the fact that you're in this job now as well, when you're seeing more and more opportunities, and you think, oh, actually, we still had a lot of these opportunities a few years back that we never really took advantage of, which is, it's great. Well, it's good for you to reflect on it. Okay, so I know the three of you have sort of been saying football's been the main sport, but was there any other sports, Amber, that you would have took part in? And was there any barriers that you had in terms of wanting to take part in sports that you maybe couldn't get along to?
I think maybe what, like to the end, like coming up to exams, suppose that's a barrier. You stop. You start to not go to, because I did go to football like twice a week. Sorry, I don't know if that cut off. I did go to football twice a week. But then when it came to exams, my football, and I stopped going to my football. I was going to things like basketball and all that, but then I had to stop doing that because then the focus was all of a sudden exams, and it was the teachers telling you, no, you're not going to football, you're coming to maths or you're going to English. And I suppose that gets in the way, because then when you get in that routine of the period of doing the exams, you just kind of fall away from it. You know what it's like when you do something for so long, come away from it, it's so hard to get back into it. And I suppose that I would say that would be a barrier. I can't think of any other things other than there might have been a wee time that it's, oh, if my friend goes, I'll go. And that fear of going somewhere that you've not got anybody that you know, and the whole it's meeting new people for different year groups and all that. I suppose that might have been a bit of a worry at the time, maybe S1, S2.
Do you think that was a big sort of thing, maybe your pals not being there? Do you think a lot of it was very much a social thing, especially at lunchtime clubs? Like I know Ryan had mentioned about the opportunities to go out at lunch and go to the sort of the shops and about, but do you think maybe the fact that if your friends went, no, we'll go to this club, then you might have been able to go with them and maybe be convinced
Yeah,
of more.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. I think that would have been, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Anthony, what about you? Just in terms of was there any barriers that you had? I know you were saying your dad took the football team, your granddad took your boys' club team, so
In terms of that, no, but what Amber says in terms of like secondary school and stuff, I remember there was like a boxing club on. I came out in the first week and I really enjoyed it. And I think me and my couple of pals went, I was like, oh, I didn't really like it. And then because they were going back, I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. But like, thinking back to it now, it doesn't matter who's going as long as you enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? You meet new people when you go there as well. But apart from that, barriers and stuff, no, I always found it easy taking part in clubs and that as well.
Ryan, what about you? I know you were saying you didn't really get to go to much clubs because of you went out with your pals to take for lunch and whatever, but was there any other barriers, maybe sort of like maybe not even so much clubs at school, but maybe clubs outside of school? If you were you ever part of like a team or anything like that? Was there any issues with it?
No, not necessarily. That's the thing. I have always regretted that I didn't really get into a team or any clubs in that. But I had, I think I went into my first football team at like 14, 15. I played one training session and then they folded. So, no, there's not really been any barriers. It's just kind of something I never really got into, which I should have done. But no, it's something that I would get if I was that age now. I would definitely get into as much as what I could.
So what about now then? So Ryan, I'm going to come back to you. What about now? What sort of sport do you do? What do you do to keep active just now? Like, I know you're saying you regret maybe not going to clubs so much when you were younger, but is there anything now that you're doing that you're thinking I can go and do this and it's still keeping me active?
See, I would just in the house. I would just do like wee 20-minute, 30-minute exercises and that. And obviously before COVID and all that, I would always go out and have a wee kick about with my pals and stuff. And I used to go to the gym all the time as well, believe it or not. So stuff like that, and I'm going to obviously once everything opens up again and you can do stuff like that, I'm going to try and get back in it.
Good. I know. I think that's obviously we'll talk about COVID and stuff when we talk about the apprenticeship, but I think the amount of things that you used to be able to do that you're sort of not done or everything's slowly getting back there, but there's still a wee bit to go. So no, it's good to hear that you're definitely talking about getting back into sort of going to the gym and keeping yourself fit in the house. And Anthony, what about you? So what do you do now to keep active? You still playing football or whatever?
I've been playing football. Well, I originally played for PEPASS, but this year due to COVID, we weren't allowed access to the PEPASS Park. So what we done this year we just didn't go in the league, just took us out the league, and all our players kind of went out on loan. So I went on loan to Renfrew, and so I've been training there Monday, Wednesdays, playing on a Saturday. But honestly, I really enjoyed Renfrew. It's good just to play for a different team, somewhere a wee bit, not far away, but a wee bit further away, and just meet new boys for like kind of different areas and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed playing for Renfrew. So just kind of playing football in terms of during the week as well when I'm not training. Just been doing like 5 and 10Ks, just typical type of runs. But I started doing like getting into running during lockdown as well, like just trying to keep myself fit and stuff. So that was been a positive of the lockdown as well.
Very good, definitely. Amber, what about you just now? What have you been doing sporting wise? What do you do?
Well, I'm still playing for the football team, playing for West Park United up at Bishopbriggs.
Yeah.
So I'm still there. During lockdown, when obviously we weren't playing or anything like that, we weren't training. But we just started back last week, so we'll be training on a Tuesday and Thursday. And hopefully once everything stays and calms down, then games will come back for a Sunday. But apart from training and doing coaching after work, just things like long walks. I did used to be into running, but I'm not really a fan of running. So apart from that, no, just the football, and nothing else happening.
I know, but it's good that sort of sports all stayed a big part of your life in terms of keeping active and outside of work as well as obviously just out of work. Just in terms of that,
Sorry, Stephen.
Sorry, you hear me?
See I was just going to jump in before we come away from the question about barriers.
Yeah.
Just when I was thinking there back when, because you said to Ryan about if he plays for any teams or anything, when I was playing for teams at the age of 13, 14, 15, one of the major barriers was paying club fees.
Mm-hmm.
So we struggled when it came to, you have to pay like £35 a month or whatever it is. Yeah. And that was a struggle. And then turning up to training when the coach is always saying, have you paid your fees? And you're the person that's not paid the fee. So I guess that was a big barrier when it came to football, because it did actually put me off wanting to go to training sessions, because you knew that everybody knew you were the person, because they've all paid theirs. So but there was teams that I'd went to at Glasgow Girls, and they were very understanding, again, explaining situations, and they actually let me not pay fees. And that was good, because then I got back to normal and I was able to go to my football again and no worry about having to pay a monthly fee. But I think that's a lot for some young children or people that are joining teams. You always hear parents saying, oh, how much is it a month? Yeah. When I'm down coaching at Pollock, I hear the parents saying, oh, my sister's just got my nephew in, saying, how much is it for the month? So I don't know if it's still a big problem or whatever it is, but definitely when I was younger, that was one of the biggest barriers for taking part in sport.
No, definitely. That's thanks for telling us that, Amber. I think that's still a really big sort of thing just now, and obviously with the clubs all being stopped and now starting back up, it will be another thing that will put a lot of parents in particular as well. But I mean, the Amber's example there, it put her off going back because she knew that she was the one when she was going that maybe hadn't paid the fees and was worried that it was going to come back and sort of using stuff. But no, listen, thank you very much for sharing that. Appreciate you telling us that barrier. So Amber, you were saying there that sort of you're coaching just now as well, but when you were younger, guys, just sort of, did you always think that you wanted to have a career in sport? Was there like a job in particular that you thought, this is what I want to go and do sort of as I get older? Or maybe you didn't have anything in mind with sport at all, but what was your sort of your goal?
For me, when I was really young, I always remember saying I wanted to be a nursery teacher. And then as I grew up, that was totally out the window because I ended up having nieces and nephews and realised how actual hard work we are. So, but when I got into high school and doing like the sports leaders and taking part in the after school clubs and all that, that made me want to do coaching, because I was told like you're actually good at speaking and all that, and you can go in and take the girls on a Tuesday after school and lead the session and see how it goes. And I suppose building up that confidence and getting being a leader and you realising, well, I'm actually quite good at this, made me think that I wanted to do some coaching or anything down that route of sport because of how much I actually enjoyed it.
Very good. A wee change, definitely. Well, definitely from being a nursery school teacher, but you're still working with kids, which is sort of a similar pathway. Slightly older kids, but similar pathway. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah.
I think when you're younger, I think most young boys, I think it just depends what kind of sport you're into. So if you play football, I think you always grow up wanting to be like a football player or something involved in sport. But I was never really. I wanted to be a vet when I was dead younger because I loved animals. I loved dogs and all that. I loved cats. And then I think when I got older, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I was going to. My dad was a scaffolder. My dad is a scaffolder, so I just thought I'll get in the scaffolding with him. But then I had done sports leader in school, and I had realised how much I loved working and coaching with range and stuff. So I was like, I'll try and get something like that. I'd be like a PE teacher or a sports coach or whatever, just something involved in that because I enjoyed doing it and I could see myself doing that for years.
Right. So sports leaders was the sort of maybe the changing turning point for you then, sort of when you done the sports leaders course. Was that your first time working in that sort of setting and you thought I quite enjoy this?
Yeah, plus I had done it. me and my pals had done it. Like me and my best pal done it together, and so we were both in the same school, and it was just brilliant. I just enjoyed us two together, just working with the Waynes, and you grew like relationships with the kids as well, because they'd come in to look forward to seeing you and all that, and it just made you feel good, because you thought that obviously the Waynes must like me, or they must like what we're doing. So I think that definitely played a part in it.
Brilliant. And Anthony, what about you? Were you sort of similar? Did you always want to be involved in sport, or?
Aye, so I always kind of rhyme with as young, always wanted to kind of be like play professional football. So awfully during primary and stuff, and I'd play my school team. We played up Mary Hill, and I think the Partick Thistle Scout came in just to watch the game because seen a big can hear kind of a big crowd noise and stuff like that. So he came in, and I think I played really well that game. And I think he phoned up St Paul's, the school, in the office, and said he's asking how I was and stuff, and asked me to come along to training and stuff. So I went along to training, and I signed just in trial for a few weeks. Then I signed a contract there, just like I think it was like under 12s or something like that. Then I played all the way through to like under 18, and then you go from under 18, so done really well and stuff. And but before like 3 months before the end of the season, I got a bad injury. Like I tore a muscle in my thigh, so I didn't really think I was going to get one. And then I finally like got a full-time contract professional with Partick Thistle. So, and when I signed that, it was like probably the proudest moment of my life in terms of that. Not for like me, just like seeing like my dad's face, my mum, like my granddad's face, and like that as well. So I always kind of wanted to kind of play professional football, or just like what I'm doing now, kind of be coaching football and just coaching kind of different sports and stuff. So I always kind of wanted to have a background in sports.
I mean, and that's obviously you've been in a professional football environment then, so you've seen the coaching how it would be, but also you've seen the sort of like the training regime and stuff. And would it be something that you'd think to go back into if you got the opportunity, or is it maybe now that you're sort of, I know you're saying you're playing at Renfrew, but it's just sort of semi-professional level? Is that sort of you quite happy at that, or would you still want to go?
No, I've still got ambition to try and go higher again. Do you know what I mean, Stephen? But I like what I'm doing now as well. But I'm just trying my best to try and keep myself play as high as I can. So hopefully in the next coming years I can maybe even move up to League 2 and League 1 again. Try and maybe get back full time in a few years' time. So you never know. But I like doing what I'm doing now as well in terms of coaching and stuff. So I like both coaching and playing as well. So it's perfect what I'm doing now.
Good. I like that wee bit of ambition there. Right, going to move on to the apprenticeship now. Okay, the reason why we're really here today. So how did you guys first hear about the apprenticeship, and what was it that made you think sort of I'm going to go and apply for this? So Amber, I'll go to you first.
Well, when I'd left school, I'd done my 6 years at St Paul's, and I'd left, and it was kind of a rush at the end because I never had a clue. I was one of the people that didn't actually know, even though I like coaching and all that, I didn't know what I was leading on to next. So I'd put in a college application for sports coaching at Cardonald, and I'd went to that, but I didn't really enjoy it. I don't know what it was I didn't enjoy. I wanted to be doing something like more hands-on, like out and actually learning on the job kind of thing, like this is. So I never really lasted long. I don't even know if I got to 6 months in the college course and dropped out. And Claire, my mentor, active schools coordinator for St Paul, she had let me know that there was a post up for Modern Apprentices, and it was the first time they were doing it. So she'd spoke to me about it, and at the time my motivation was really low, and I was just kind of like, right, okay. So I went ahead and put in the application, and she kept saying to me, this will be great, this will be brilliant, like the amount of opportunities that you get out of this. And that kept me motivated to think this could actually be something that I really enjoy. So then we did the interview process, and 10 were selected, and obviously I was one of the ones that were selected, and I got to be paired up with Claire. And as time went on, it made me realise that is actually the best choice that I've made yet. And I'm glad, even though people looked at me and thought, well, you dropped out of college and you've not did a job and all that, their look on me might have been different. But for me, I'm glad I dropped out of college, because this apprenticeship has been honestly like amazing. It's been the best thing that I've done, the amount of things that I've learned from it, the amount of people that I've met. And again, working in that school setting, that environment, at times it's been hard, but it's progressed me, it's developed me, and it's made me see other things that I thought I could actually go ahead and do that now. And that's all because of this apprenticeship. And I'm thankful that Claire came to me and said to me, Amber, this is something that you need to go ahead and give it a try. And it's crazy how something can change your mind and your thoughts, because at the beginning I never thought much of it, and now I would do it for the rest of my life if I could and stay in it. But yeah, no, I'm thankful that was something that I got the chance of doing.
And you were back in St Paul's as well. So how was that in terms of coming back as an employee rather than being one of the pupils?
Pupil. No, it was good. Because like I said at the beginning, I've always had a good relationship with my teachers. Even though at times they've probably thought, well, Amber, like you're doing my head in, but it has been good. And it's good to go, and even the teachers treat you the way you're meant to be treated, and they're always saying it's good to have you back, it's good to see you, and it helps a lot knowing the teachers from previous. It probably could have been a wee bit harder going into a school that I didn't know, but it's definitely helped that I was placed in that school, and knowing some of the pupils from, like, I've been friends with their sisters or their brothers, and that's their wee brother or their wee sister. But it has definitely helped being placed in St Paul's again.
Brilliant. Ryan, what about you? Talk us through sort of how you heard about it and sort of how your experience went with the interview and stuff like that.
So I thought I had applied for a few colleges. Some I didn't get into, some I did get into, and I had just missed interviews. I didn't know how I missed them. I think they sent me an email and I didn't look at it. And then I got a phone call of a woman that works in Skills Development Scotland.
Right.
So there's a wee kind of centre thing there in Parkhead, and she had set like an appointment up for me to go up there and have a look at stuff. So I went up there, and I think we're just looking through, I don't know if it was like My World of Work or something, or God knows, but we're looking through something, and I had seen it. I had seen this. Seen it was a 2-year apprenticeship and all that, and I thought, oh, that looks quite good, so I'll apply for that. I applied for other things I know, but I applied for this, and I heard back to it. So this was like, I knew if I wasn't getting this job, I was like, I'm not getting in. So when I went in interviews, I made sure to myself, I'm like, oh, I'm going to try and impress as much as I can and show my knowledge, what I've done in sports and all that, and just make sure that I do get it. Because if I didn't, then I would have had nothing. But I'm so glad that I did, because it's brilliant. You can learned so much, you don't realise how much you do learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sort of very, very hands-on. So see, going back to the woman that emailed you to Skills Development Scotland, was that somebody that you'd met through school? Was that like through the careers advisor, or was that just the centre across the road at Parkhead that you'd went over to?
No, that was just, well, there was a guy who did work in my school called Stuart. He worked in there, but it was a woman called Rona, funnily enough.
Okay.
Who was so Rona got me the job, pretty much. But I think she had phoned me. I don't know how she got my number or anything, but I think there was a guy that worked there, but he didn't do an interview or anything. He might have passed my number on or something, or God knows, but no, it was wee Rona.
I'm sure you're thankful for Rona then after that. Certainly
that's the thing.
After the past couple of years.
Good at the start and then came back.
Anthony, talk to us about how you heard about it and sort of how you found the interview process and how you got on.
I heard about it. I think I was maybe when I get to Leeds Party first, so I was kind of training just with teams and stuff just to kind of keep myself fit. But I kind of I didn't have a job or anything like that for I think it was about 5-6 months, and I seen Matt I stayed at next to St Paul's, and I think Matt was in the school, so I speak to Matt quite a lot and stuff. And I speak to Matt, and he was just saying, I think there's an apprenticeship kind of jobs coming up for active schools and stuff. I think it was Glasgow Guarantee, I think it was on.
Yeah.
And he was just talking to about maybe like what type of things he does and what kind of things I would maybe be doing. And it just kind of sounded perfect for what I wanted to do in terms of keep myself in sport and stuff. So I think it came up a couple of weeks later. I applied for it and hopefully get an interview. I think the interview was at a couple of days, kind of like one day, and he came back another couple of weeks later. But I remember the interview, you gave maybe a kind of games pack, I think it was for one of the days, and you maybe working with 5 different people and kind of make a game out whatever kind of the card says. Then remember coming back in, I don't know if you were maybe at my table at the time, the interview, you and Joe. I just remember Joe telling me he was on the bench against Barcelona. I still don't know what the story was about. But then after that, I heard back again saying I got the job. And honestly, it was I really enjoyed the job, especially working with Joe and stuff. All the stories with boxing and kind of the opportunities at all the different sports I'm coaching. So take athletics quite a lot and basketball as well. So just grateful for kind of all the opportunities I've been getting.
Right. So actually in the interview itself, how did you feel so it was a group interview, if I'm just sort of saying this, I know it was, but it was a group interview and you sort of came over, there was different groups. So how did you feel sort of walking into that group setting for the first time and you seen all these other sort of young people similar age to you guys? How was it for you?
Well, for me, it was quite, I don't really get nervous, but I was a wee bit nervous, to be honest, actually. Just because you don't know anybody, and you don't want to kind of say the wrong thing or something like that as well. But it was a wee bit nerve-wracking. But in terms of like a couple of hours in, we get to know everybody and stuff. It's like I felt fine after maybe an hour or so. Aye.
Brilliant. And Amber and Ryan, were you similar? Did you feel? I know Ryan, you had mentioned actually that you went in with the mindset of I'm going in here to impress because I really want to get this. So how did you? Were you feeling a bit nervous as well at first, and how quickly did that sort of settle?
I was bricking it, man. I think I was one of the last to walk in, and everybody was just looking at me. And honestly, I don't know, man. I was feeling nervous. I sat down. As soon as I sat down, I was like, I didn't even want to look around. But I think, obviously, we went to the first interview. I think they had the first interviews, and then you got invited back to main interviews. So the first interview I went, I didn't know anybody at all. But then you were at my table for that. And then obviously I'd go back to the second interview. And the second interview I knew a few people. So I knew one of my pals had went to the interviews, Callum Taylor. I knew Callum Taylor. And then there was another boy there who I knew. So I knew quite a few people, which made it a bit easier. So I think if I didn't know anybody, I would have been like, a bit more nervous.
Yeah.
But obviously knowing people and being there with people who you know, it kind of made it that bit easier. Made me feel a bit more comfortable doing it.
Brilliant. Amber, what about you? Because again, you came over, am I right in saying you wouldn't have known anybody either? When you first went in?
Yeah, I didn't know a single person. Not even over the 3 days. I didn't know anybody. To be honest, I can only remember certain things that we did. I don't remember the full process. I know that you were the one that interviewed me afterwards, but I remember, I don't know if it was the first or second day, walking in and sitting at a table full of people that I didn't know here, to go and sit at a different table. And I'm like Ants, I don't really get nervous, but that day I remember being really nervous. I think it's because the amount of people that were there as well, and I felt like everybody was talking but I wasn't, and then I was like, should I be talking, should I introduce? But I think as the days went on, again, even though I didn't know anybody, I started to know people. I started to know people's names, and going out to go out for lunch and coming back in for the rest of the interview together. So it did make it a wee bit easier, and it wasn't as bad as what I thought it would be.
Brilliant. Good. I'm glad. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you all remember that it was me that was involved with your interview, which is a good sign. But I'm glad that I like hearing these stories. So we went through the interview process, and then we selected the 10, and obviously you three guys were part of the 10 Modern Apprentices that we picked. So how was that sort of when you all got together for the first time as a group, and sort of throughout the 2 years? I know you've been working really closely together. How's that been in terms of working with each other? We'll come to the mentors eventually, but we'll talk about working with each other first. How's that been for you?
I enjoyed it.
I think it was actually really good. Sorry, Ryan, on you go again.
We had all, I think there was a few, like, we had to do a PVG and that and sign up, so we had all we had met each other a bit through that. And then we started at Ladyville. And literally the first day of Ladyville, David's giving us a tour, and he says to us, "It's on there, 30 seconds, tell me about yourself if it's in the word A." So right away, well, the confidence is kind of broke straight away. But it was good. I think we had spent the first 6 weeks or something with each other, just in different games and stuff, getting to know each other, getting stuff sorted. So at the end of it was brilliant, because you spoke to everybody, and everybody like knew each other and that. So I think it would, if we had went into the job and just went with our mentors straight away, it'd have been different. But so it was dead good that we were all with each other for a certain amount of time, and getting to know each other and stuff.
Brilliant. Amber, you were going to come in there as well?
Yeah, no, I think the same as Ryan. It was definitely good that we got to spend that, I think 5-6 weeks at the beginning with each other. And again, that was probably more nerve-wracking than the actual interviews, because we never actually knew who was the ones that were selected. Like, back when, I think it was Sally that was making the phone calls to say that you've been offered a place if you want to accept it, and I actually missed the phone call. So then when I seen I'd missed the phone call, I was like, oh my, like, that's it, the opportunity's away and I'm never getting again. But she phoned back, so it was fine. But it was nerve-wracking that we were put into Ladywell, and again, I didn't know that side of the city that well, and we were all developing our relationship to each other. But again, I thought that we all ended up in the same wavelength, and I thought that the 10 that were picked was actually picked quite carefully. I thought we all got on really well, and there was no awkwardness. It was just straight away, you were in talking and we got on with it. So I think that it worked out very good.
Brilliant. How is it now, Anthony, after 2 years? Are you all fed up each other? Are you all still quite close?
I'm fed up with Ryan. I'm quite pally. To be fair, I've awfully made new pals now, so I'm really pally with Ryan now and stuff.
Yeah.
I've just seen it because in the call, but I also knew Callum Taylor as well before. Hopefully he's not here, but so I'd pally with Callum as well. But definitely, hopefully to start with, you don't really know anybody, don't feel as comfortable. But see now, like, to be honest, I could speak to anybody, you know what I mean, no bother and no awkwardness at all. But in terms of over the 2 years, definitely all grew closer to each other and that as well.
Good. Brilliant. Right. I'm going to come to your mentors. No slag them, right? No slag them on this. This is positive only. How have you found it? So I'm actually going to go to Anthony first. Just tell us, because I know you're up in Springburn now with Joe. So tell us how that's been for you, and sort of how it's been working with him in the PE department and the teachers and stuff.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story to start. So after I think 2 weeks I was working with Joe, and I was just sitting there, and he just, I don't know if you remember, he just felt that to me. What's your name again? So that was funny just to start after 2 weeks. So, but after that, me and Joe get along brilliantly. Always tell me stories and stuff like that as well. So right away, it makes you feel dead comfortable. Just talk to you if he's one of your pals. Just loves telling stories. But in terms of coaching, that he gave me a lot. Tells me about a lot of experiences coaching and stuff and how to deal with it. So in terms of when I'm coaching, right after right away, he always say to me, "How do you think you done? What did you do well?" And he always tells me something I can improve on. And even when he's coaching, he always asks me as well, So he's always getting feedback off me saying, what do you think I done well, what do you think I can improve on? So hopefully in Springburn as well, I've been helping the PE department, especially this year. Kind of just helping, we've been going to the park quite a lot and taking them for walks and runs. So doing that was quite good, getting to work with the secondary school. And in terms of the primaries, they're delivering quite a lot of football and athletics. So, but Joe's always there and helping me. And, I think he's trying to get me to take boxing as well. Give me a few maybe boxing lesson plans he can help me with as well. So in terms of that, it means you'll get along just brilliantly as well.
Well, and you didn't know, am I right in saying you wouldn't have known Joe before you started? You'd never met him or anything like that until...
No, Joe, no, never.
Ryan, what about you? Because you're placed with Neil and Andy in the St Philomena's office. So how's that been?
I had to get sat down before it. I was warned. So David had said to me like, "Oh, we're putting you with Neil and Andy, and just so you know, Neil and Andy are like two big jokers. So they'll slag you and this and that, but they don't mean anything by it. And they don't like they couldn't have been anywhere welcome to me. Like get in and Andy had interviewed me.
Mm-hmm.
So and I thought Andy, well, in the interview, obviously, I didn't think Andy would have been the person he is. Like, now I know Andy. I just know Andy is just, he's some laugh. Same with Neil. But in the interview, I didn't think so at all. But it was brilliant, honest, just sitting. Neil's constantly asking if I want a cup of tea or this and that and going about skills and stuff. They were introducing me to everybody and that. So both of them have been brilliant. But obviously, get slagged rotten, but
Yeah.
I hand it out now. So it's been good. Been a good introduction with them and made all the memories of me embarrassing myself and them laughing at me for it. So
They're two of the funniest people you'll meet, but they're also two of the nicest that you'll meet, and they'll made sure that you've been comfortable and looked after you, which is good to hear. Have you, in terms of your actual coaching and your delivery, have you learned a lot from them in terms of sort of when you go out into schools and how to sort of lead sessions? Have you took anything in particular from them, or just?
Aye. So, well, at first it was just obviously I was with Neil, so I was in most of Neil schools, and I would go and coach. Well, Neil wouldn't let me coach straight away myself, so I would just be like shadowing other coaches and stuff. And then I think when I done my first first few sessions of coaching, Neil would be there, and he would just give me like he'd tell me what I'd done right, what I'd done wrong, and that. I didn't really do a lot of work with Andy's skills until after coronavirus and all that. Then I went with Andy, and I've been working on Andy's skills for near enough a year now. So it's been brilliant with Andy. He's the same. He's just like tells me what I've done right, what I could do, different games and that. And I think I'm the same with Andy. If Andy does coaching and that, and or whatever, it's just both is just a good relationship. Plus, it's good because I don't go and think, I don't go into work and think, oh, I can't be ball doing this, can't be ball doing that. I look forward to doing it because it's fun. Because it's no like we're not constantly doing the same thing. We're constantly doing something else. So it's been brilliant with both of them.
Brilliant. I'm glad that you said that you look forward to coming in. That's always a good sign. But you're sort of slightly different to Anthony and Ryan in terms of you knew your mentor beforehand from obviously being at the school. So how's it been working with Claire at St Paul's?
No, it has. It's been really good. Even when I was at school, I never knew Claire like a lot. I knew what she did and I'd seen her about and spoke to her a few times and whatever, but it was never had a big relationship or anything like that. But being placed with us it's been a great match. I think it's been good. I think it's important, like Ryan said, getting up and going into work. You can feel like you don't want to, but during this full thing, it's been exciting. You look forward to getting in and delivering in a school. It's something different, and the relationship you build up is important because it's what makes it work. So building that relationship up with Claire, and when it comes to giving feedback, she'll tell me what try this next time. It's never a case of, oh, you just did that wrong and making you feel down at it. And it's always positive, and it just there to help you really and make you develop better. And I was always worried about getting into schools and having to introduce yourself, but having her there is when you go in, it's, oh, this is Amber, this is my apprentice, and she's going to be here to do this. And it's always good to have that good relationship, knowing that you can rely on someone, or even go to her for anything, even if it's not to do with work. It's good that you can build that relationship with someone that you never thought was possible. You never thought that would be in your life, but it definitely had a very, very good positive to take out of the apprenticeship, is having that relationship with your mentor.
Brilliant. Obviously, I'm in the office with you and Claire quite a lot of time as well, before COVID and stuff, but
yep.
It's not what, and hearing Ryan and Anthony say it as well, it's not even so much now that it's a mentor, it is a mentor, and obviously you guys are doing the apprenticeship, but there's a friendship there now between you as well. So that's a big it's a big thing to take away from it, is that you've made friendships now as well with your mentors, and obviously with some of the other coordinators as well across the team. So
yep.
We spoke a lot about the delivery, but in your apprenticeship, there's 4 days where you'll be out sort of delivering, and then there was the 1 day where you would be doing your sort of portfolio. So how have you found the balance in terms of the delivery in comparison to the paperwork side of things? How's that been in terms of trying to balance that out? Anthony, I'll go to you first.
In terms of the paperwork and stuff, we used to hopefully go to Ladybell every Friday and just kind of catch up any kind of paperwork you're doing, but obviously due to COVID, I think you can only go into kind of school. So what I've been doing is, if you need any help at all, if you give David an email, but during COVID, he's maybe having a Zoom call where he's all individually for maybe an hour and a half. So say there was maybe 10 questions, we'd do the first 3 the first week, and we'd go through them individually with David or Chris, and they just talk about how maybe we can improve our answers and how our answers are looking. So in terms of paperwork and stuff, so David and Chris were really good in terms of getting the paperwork done in time, and to David will try and make you do your paperwork better. So if even if it's a good answer, Dave's always give you telling you how to improve your answer to get kind of the top marks and stuff. So it's really good in terms of how much help you were getting as well.
Brilliant. Amber, how have you found the paperwork side of it in terms of, in comparison to maybe the delivery? Because I think for all of you prefer the delivery, but obviously the paperwork's every bit as important, if not more important. So how have you found the sort of balance of it?
Yeah, no, I think it's been fine as well. Like I said, having those Fridays before lockdown, whatever, in Ladybell, everybody coming together and going over the paperwork and getting it all done was really helpful. And again, David having the meetings and the one-to-ones with Chris or himself, or even before that, Mark, he helped a lot as well. So I think it was always balanced out well. And we obviously had a responsibility if you are delivering and you've got paperwork to do, it's trying to find that balance and give yourself time to get it done. So if you're in a school in the morning and then you're only doing the 3 sessions, then you've got the afternoon. So just make sure you're getting the stuff done. But I do think that it was all balanced out well. And again, the mentors being able to give you time to sit down and go over that paperwork helped with the process as well.
Brilliant. And Ryan, you sort of the same as the guys? Have you found it sort of a good balance? If you
I thought obviously at first you would when before COVID and all that, you'd be in your school and you would have times where you wouldn't be doing any coaching, so you'd be in the office, and when I was in the office I would try and get my portfolio done as quick as I could. I wasn't like that in school with it, but in the job, like I just thought, oh, I'll get it out of the way, get it finished, get it sent, so I can get it done, and I've got nothing to worry about. And as Anthony was saying, like every Friday we used to go up to Ladybell and that anyway, so we would get stuff sorted there. And then during lockdown, David, Chris, and Mark Sweeney, when he was here, like they would always they would be brilliant with it, like with help, and if you needed any help, you were to email them, or they would send you back some stuff. So it was,
Good.
you never really struggled because you always had the help on there.
I was going to say that, so you had your mentors help also, you obviously had David, Chris and Mark when he was in as well, so you had a good support bubble around you. And then did you find, Ryan, that you could ask sort of some of the other apprentices as well? Would you help each other out with it?
I always finished, I'd always like kind of finished, so like most people would ask me answering that. But I don't know, it's if there was a question that always were kind of stuck on, we would all ask each other on that. But none of us really needed the help in it. We just kind of go on with it, and then Dave, he gave us the help with it. Like if we needed it, he would tell us, no, you're doing this wrong, or that you can add this in to improve it and stuff.
No, good. I'm glad that you've sort of, it's all positive. That's sort of the main thing that I'm taking from this interview as well. And hopefully other people that are listening to it will take that as well. So everything's been sort of really positive. I know Ryan's maybe froze there, but he's just coming back in. I know that everything's been positive, but have you faced any challenges in terms of, has there been any times where you've been like, oh, this is actually quite difficult, and sort of how did you overcome that? Amber, I'll come to you first.
In terms of the actual apprenticeship, I don't think there's been anything at any point that's been overly difficult, like where you thought, oh, I don't know how to get past this, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think there's ever been that point because of the support network that's been there, like David, Mark, Chris, our mentors, they're a phone call away. So if there was any worry or stress about it, it's just you just need to pick up the phone and ask, or send an email instead of just sitting there worrying about it. So I don't think there's been any really real struggles. Maybe for me at the beginning, having my own house and all that, again, that might have been a struggle just in terms of personal and trying to balance your personal and your work life. But again, with the actual apprenticeship, I think overall, because of the support network, it's worked well, and it's been good for us.
Ryan, are you sort of the same, Ryan? Do you think sort of, has there been any challenges you've faced?
No, not necessarily. Obviously, like even with the travel and that for the first year, like we had bus passes and that sorted out, so a yearly bus pass. So travel wasn't a problem because we weren't spending money on it. So we all had our bus passes. We all had like that paid for, isn't it? So that wasn't difficult getting to work or anything. And working that, no, not really, because if I did, I had Neil there, or Andy there to help me with anything, or even at Ladyville or anything, I would have Dave and Mark. So if I did have any difficulties anyway, there would always be somebody there to help me through it.
Brilliant, good. And Anthony, in terms of obviously the last year, we've all been affected with the pandemic going on. So how's that been as a challenge in terms of working from home? I know Amber said just a phone call away, but how have you found that sort of challenge? Has it been more difficult or less difficult than what you maybe anticipated?
Bit of both, to be honest, because hopefully when you're in work, you've got to be a bit more, like, we kind of a bit more motivated being in work, if you know what I mean. When you're in your house, there's distractions. Do you know what I mean? Because I just kind of, hopefully you can get the telly on and you can go, I want something to eat, or you feel hungry all the time, I think, when I'm in the house. But in terms of, no, I think working from home's actually been alright, to be honest, but even now, I'm working from home on a Wednesday, get a Zoom call in the afternoon, so it kind of just breaks your week up. We can just work from home instead of being in the office all the time, just kind of gives you a wee change, doesn't it? Something different.
Has it gave you a better work-life balance? I know Amber said about at the beginning she found, so has it helped you maybe in a way then, do you think, your work-life balance?
I would actually say it has. I just, in terms of just only going to work every single day, and just one day you can catch up with, awfully just now we're delivering quite a lot, so the Wednesday allows you just to relax in the house and do all your paperwork and catch, like, a team meeting, catch up, Dave let us know what we're all doing for the next coming weeks or next coming months. So I would say it probably has helped me a wee bit. The Wednesday from home, aye.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, I've lost Amber, but I'll keep an eye out in case she comes back in. But we'll keep going on just in terms of the time that we've got. So, what's next? So, obviously, the apprenticeship for you guys will finish in September. Is that right? Yeah. So, what's next? What's the next steps for you guys? What have you got planned, and what are you hoping to go and do next?
Well, me and Anthony are both going to the same college course, so it just shows you Ant has went from playing for Partick Thistle to being at college with Ryan Burns. His life has went downhill. But we're both in the same college course, doing it's a H&D in sports coaching.
Sports coaching.
So I think that can link into. We'll do that for 2 years. Hopefully that gets a link into uni and that, and then I'm hoping to go into teaching and then become a PE teacher.
I think that same as Ryan. Aye.
No sure else, but I think that's my goal for now.
Brilliant. Good. So, what college is it you're going to? Is it City Glasgow? Is that what you?
City Glasgow. Aye.
Brilliant. Good. So, what we could end up seeing you guys back in some of the schools as college students and not apprentices. That's really good. Amber, I don't know if can you hear us now? I know you kind of been kicked out a bit there, but no, lost her just now. If Amber comes back in, we'll keep going with it. But no, that's good. Next step. So you're both staying in sport, which is great. In terms of the apprenticeship, Anthony, I'll come to you because Ryan's disappeared now as well. This is the joys of the technical.
That's my standing.
technical world. Amber, are you there as well? Just no. She's Amber's connection's poor. So Anthony, in terms of what you're leaving the apprenticeship with, just talk us through a bit about not so much necessarily the qualification you're getting, but more what sort of life skills have you got from it? What do you feel you're leaving with as a person?
I think the most thing I got from it is actually just confidence in terms of, because you're always working with kind of different teachers, it's different pupils get different personalities and stuff. So in terms, I was speaking about this with Joe the other day actually, in terms of what I'm going to take away, a lot of confidence and kind of just always doing things you maybe don't feel comfortable doing. In terms of, as soon as I went to start working with Joe, I was taking kind of athletics, but I didn't really know too much about athletics and stuff. So what I'm taking away from that is maybe doing things you're not really so comfortable doing, and then the more you do it, the better you feel kind of doing anything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I definitely say confidence. Just kind of working with new people, like meeting new people like Ryan and stuff, meet new pals and stuff as well. So that's been really good.
Brilliant. And that obviously the two of you guys are going away with each other. To sort of you're going to be still with each other when you go to college as well, which is great. In terms of Amber, I can see you now. Thanks. I'm glad that's sorted. And Ryan, obviously we lost you as well. So,
I don't know, honestly, man, it's the Wi-Fi in this house. It's horrible.
It's fine. It happens. In terms of what you're taking away from the sort of the apprenticeship, in terms of your qualification, so just talk to us a bit, Ryan, if you don't mind, about the qualification that you've got or you have at the end of the apprenticeship, and sort of some of the skills that you've picked up along the way.
So it's an SVQ level 6 in sports coaching, I think.
Yeah.
So obviously you get that qualification, but not even just the qualification, like the experience you get, I know is brilliant. I think that's very, that obviously helped getting into college and that, because in interviews and that, I said about the experiences that I have. So it kind of gets you used to what you will be doing in college and that. That's what Andy and Neil always say to me, and all, like, the more coaching you do helps me out in the future for college and stuff, because that's what I'll be doing anyway. So just the experience and that has been brilliant. Getting to know new people and that has been brilliant, and it's kind of, I'm much more confident now than what I was before. Like, because I've had to go up and speak in front of so many people and that, and meet new people and stuff. So it's helped a lot in that sense and all.
No, definitely. And when you're learning on the job, a lot of time it is picking up little sort of confidence things and techniques. And but as well as that, do you find now that obviously you've been working for 2 years now, so Anthony, obviously you've been at the football, but Ryan, you might have had maybe a couple of part-time jobs or whatever beforehand. But in terms of like do you think you understand the workplace a lot more now? If you get sort of things that like responsibility and all that sort of stuff?
Oh, aye. But before this, I had a part-time job at McDonald's, and it was horrible, man. All I did was just keep my head down and put chicken nuggets and burgers in boxes. That was about it. And I didn't look forward to going into McDonald's. I hated it. But with this, it's good because I like being out and doing stuff and keep myself fit in that by doing sports and just out walking and stuff. So it's brilliant in that sense and all. And it's the job isn't necessarily pure easy, but it's like it's no pure hard to the point where you're like, oh, I can't be bothered. So it's well balanced, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. Anthony, I think you shaking your head. You just sort of agree with Ryan with that in terms of like you've learnt a lot of sort of things in the workplace as well.
Aye, definitely, aye.
Good. Now, Amber, I think we can see you again, but I know the connection's really bad. Can you hear us okay? I think yeah. I thought we had her there, but I don't know. We're almost done anyway, guys. So, in terms of your next steps, you're going into coaching, you're going to go on and sort of continue. Do you think now, working with active schools, that you would like to try and sort of stay involved, whether that be as a volunteer, or I know you guys are going to be going to college, but maybe coming back as a volunteer, or coming back in terms of maybe as a coach or along those lines? Or do you find yourself that you're like, you know what, I'm going to just go and focus purely on my studies for the next year or so?
Well, obviously, I'm going to college, maybe I kind of part-time job, do a wee bit of coaching. So I started a kind of new part-time job last Friday. So every Friday, I think it's at Andy Robertson charity.
All right.
In South, can't remember what the school's called now.
Gowan Bank.
Aye, in there, aye. So I started it last Friday, and it's I think it's for 7 about 8:30. You're just kind of taking boys between 11 and 16 for football. So that's just kind of an experience, kind of without your mentor there, and without your coaching with people who don't really know. So that's the experience. So I quite enjoyed that last Friday. Going back this Friday, so if I keep enjoying that, you know what I mean, maybe come back to schools, do a wee bit more on coaching and stuff.
Brilliant. What about you, Ryan?
I think I will try and do the same. Try and get a wee part-time job. Try and do some coaching. I think that Neil and Andy have said that to me and all. Like they could get me up to do some coaching and stuff. So, and even at that, like if we're in college and stuff, hopefully we do, like as Andy and Neil know, I've been saying, like hopefully we'll do work with active skills. So, we'll get to see everybody again and stuff, and that'll be good.
Brilliant. I'm glad to hear that. And Anthony, I'm going to speak to you after this just about that, because that's one of my schools, so I want to find out a bit more about how it's been going. So after obviously just now we're in a wee bit of a stage where things are starting to open back up. We're starting to get a bit of a sort of a life together, look back to some sort of normality. So what's the thing that you're most sort of looking forward to now with everything starting to open back up and to go back to normal? What's the first thing you're looking forward to, Ryan?
I think everybody's going to say like a drink with a pals. I'm not a big drinker, but I'm looking forward to a drink with a pals. And just the summer. Again, in a beer garden or whatever, just be a pals, even getting a kick a bit or whatever.
Yeah.
Even seeing your family and that and all, because some people obviously have to go to see their family, and it's good. It realises how much that you miss people and how much you enjoy seeing them and that. So it'll be good just to get back out and a bit of normality, seeing everybody and doing the things you used to do.
Brilliant. Anthony, what about you? You sort of similar? What about in terms of the football and stuff like that?
I miss see kids got to football games and stuff. Me even going to like support my team, just see like just got to normal like go watch my big brother's team on a Sunday or something like that. I just kind of miss just going to watch football in general, and I can't wait until we don't wear masks either. I hate wearing a mask. So that's going to be a positive.
That will definitely be a
And,
positive.
hopefully travel abroad maybe next few months.
Right. So last one, just a wee sort of if you were in charge of a come dine with me type of program, right? So you're hosting a dinner party, and you can pick 3 guests. Who's your 3 guests? Anthony, I'm going to come to you first because you had this one.
So my first person would be Tiger Woods, because I love Tiger Woods. He's like the guy I love the most. So I'll go with Tiger Woods. Secondly, I'd go with Kanye West, probably my favourite singer. So Kanye was quite interesting as well. Probably a good few stories. So I'll go with Kanye West. And last one, I'd just go with the classic Ronaldo one. How good a player he is, and just kind of look up to how hard he works and stuff like that as well. So probably the 3, to be honest.
I'm actually so disappointed that Joe Brannon wasn't getting invited to the dinner party with Kanye West and Tiger Woods. That would have been the most interesting dinner party I'd ever seen in my life. Ryan, what about you?
See, this was the hardest question for me. Like I said, there's just so many people. But I think I've narrowed it down. I would say David Attenborough is up there. I think Will Ferrell's up there. I just think Will Ferrell's brilliant. I think he's funny. So he could be the entertainment. And then Bruce Buffer, probably. So he could shout, "This is the main course." Instead of him saying, "This is the main event of the evening," he could shout, "This is the main course of the evening." And then he can leave after that.
I can just imagine in your house the Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Aye, that'll be it. I'll have the mic out and everything for him. After that, off you go, Brucey boy.
Let's get ready for the state party. But you can put your hospitality skills out there and show that. You know what I mean? That would be you could put your school hospitality to the test and see how it went.
Right.
Listen, guys, I know Amber's disappeared, but a big thanks to Amber for coming on as well, and a big thanks to you guys for just talking about your experience. It's been an absolute pleasure to have on today, but also for the past 2 years. It's been great to have you in the team, and we look forward to finding out the rest of your journey up until September, and then beyond into the world of college again. So a big thank you, guys. Who's your favourite coordinator of all time out of the whole team?
I'm not just saying this, but it would have to be Stephen Gilliland, that is.
Right.
No, I can't pick between Neil and Andy.
Good man. And Anthony?
I would say Joe, but Joe told me not to say him. So I'll go with Matt. I've known Matt for all the way through primary and secondary, and helped me get the job in that as well. So definitely Matt's a nice guy as well.
Man. Listen,
sorry, Stephen, for not saying it, but
sorry. You know what? It's fine. It's remembered, but it's fine. No, listen, guys. Thank you very much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for joining me again today. All right.
I ain't bother at all. Pictures, Stephen.
Yeah.